Welcome to Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist Congregation for our very first Sunday service of the year 2022. We're delighted to have you with us today. I am Donnelly. I am a member of the PA team here. We work with our interim minister, the Reverend Dr. Samantha Wilson. Reverend Samantha is not in the pulpit today. Instead, the members of the search committee, the ministerial search committee, of which I am a part, have prepared a really fun and exciting service for you today. You see, we've spent the last 6 months learning about the process, learning about each other, learning about ourselves, and learning a whole lot about you, the congregation. You had focus groups, you answered surveys, and we put all that together. And today, we want to spend this next hour sharing with you what we've learned about this entire process so far. And we got a long ways to go, but we want you to know where we're at today. For our chalice lighting, I pulled a few phrases out of the covenant that the Ministerial Search Committee drafted that we recite before every meeting. We will maintain inclusiveness, meaning equal weight to and from every member of the team. We will extend grace and support one another. We will express gratitude often for each other. We will lean in gently. And we will do these things in order to earn and maintain the trust of you, the congregation, and to engage you, the congregation, in the search process. And finally, to represent this congregation to the wider world of Unitarian Universalism. So with those words, I will light my chalice because I am still here at home as you are, keeping those thoughts as we begin today.
Hi, I'm Ray Deeney. I've been a member of our Mountain Vista congregation for more than 10 years. I've been a UU for more than 30 years at 3 different congregations. And over that time span, I've been in relationship with at least 8 different parish ministers. Yes, the constancy of change. This morning, we honor MVUU's 4 most recent parish ministers in a series of images. As we reflect on these images, we recall how they have arrived and moved on with their own beginnings and endings, with their own strengths and limitations, their own quirks, their own grand moments, their own mistakes, their own loving expressions. Each of us have had our own experiences with these ministers. With them, we've explored life's difficult questions. They've challenged us to live out our UU values. They've comforted us in time of suffering. They've encouraged us to stand on the side of love when confronted with injustice in the world. We entered into voluntary relationship with each of them based upon our shared covenant within our own vision of the beloved community. They have touched us deeply, and we do not forget them. In last Sunday's service, Chris Tackett read a poem about the holiness of places of remembrance and connection. Likewise, there's also a holiness of people of remembrance and connection. And today, we remember the holiness of people, these parish ministers of our congregation. We're at another transition point, wondering what happens when one thing ends and another begins. We're in that ellipse, as Reverend Sam called it, between a ministerial ending that hasn't quite happened yet and a ministerial beginning that hasn't arrived yet. And we ask ourselves, is there anything we need to let go of involving these 4 ministers to make space for that which remains unknown about our next minister? On January 30th, we will dedicate our new church building with collective joy and excitement. These, our most recent ministers, all plan this month to celebrate with us and share in our pride in reaching this milestone. We embrace them all with open arms and hearts. They have been and will continue to be a big part of who we are.
Let this be a house of peace, of nature and humanity, of sorrow and elation. Let this be our house, a haven for the healing, an open this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let all in this house seek truth, where scientists and mystics abide in reverence here. Let this be our house, a house of our creation, where works of art and melodies consecrate the atmosphere. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace.
Hi, I am Samaradi. Mary Nell Hoover and I are members of the Ministerial Search Team. We are here today to talk about the highlights of what we learned from you in the Congregational Survey. It's hard to believe, but it's been over 9 years since we welcomed Ron Ferries, our last settled minister. And during that time, our congregation and our needs have changed. So with lots of input and help from the congregation, the surveys and focus groups were conducted to serve as a basis for our current ministerial search. We then used your feedback to paint a picture of ourselves today, our needs going forward, and our future minister. To see the actual search results in detail with charts and graphs, you can go to the MVUU website. Today, we're going to share some of the highlights from our research findings, as well as some of your quotes on the topics that are most important to you. And as your quotes appear on the screen, they will be read by members of our ministerial search team.
Searching for and then welcoming a new minister is a journey for the search team and for this congregation as a whole. To make this journey successfully, there are a number of items we want to pack and take with us. These items will help us remind ourselves of what you said is important in this journey. I've got my backpack ready for the journey. The thing that you told us was most important was a minister who would champion and support the connections and community that we have built through small group ministries. You said you love the intimacy and authenticity that we are building by connecting to one another on a deeper level in small groups. Among those groups you mentioned were Caring Hearts, Beloved Conversations, and the breakout groups in the Zoom Fellowship Hour. And because small groups are important, I am packing my chalice that reminds me of them.
I value connecting with individual congregants on the heart level.
Through connections, I grow myself and my world.
Intimate, trusting relationships with fellow congregants who have the courage to be honest and vulnerable touch my heart and promote my growth.
You told us that as we grow, you want to be a more diverse congregation. So we need blueprints for this part of the journey. Not blueprints of our beautiful new building, but blueprints for the congregation inside it. Blueprints for how we as a congregation will continue to transform ourselves to be truly welcoming to people who may not look or be like us. Once others find us, we want them to feel in their bones that they are home. We imagine building a community where people feel at home when they arrive. They don't have to adapt to be just like the dominant group or the group that has been here the longest. They arrive and they find a place where they are at home. This would be a place that is truly multi-class, multi-ability, multiracial, multicultural, multigender, and sexuality, a place for people who are children and those who are elders, those who are still working and those who have retired. We want to imagine the kind of design that allows us to be a community of communities. We want a minister who will help us with this ever-evolving and ever-changing architecture of welcome. So when people visit us, no matter who they are, they feel at home.
We want to bring diverse groups together to worship in line with their own beliefs.
We are stronger together, all different but attracted to the same principles that shine through individual, unique lives.
There are great opportunities for developing a larger, stronger, and more diverse congregational community with more effective outreach.
You told us that you wanted a strong life education program. You want a variety of sources to learn from, sources that we can use to learn from the day we are born throughout our lifetime. For this, I am packing my extendable fork. It helps us extend ourselves to appreciate and savor the multiplicity of sources and wisdom that are part of our multi-faith Unitarian Universalist community. This is about each of us being fed and truly nourished from birth to death. We want to be nourished our entire life.
We want education for children and adults.
I like to be challenged and always learning, and the congregation fulfills this need.
I value spiritual growth and a variety of paths for individuals to follow, grow, learn. This is done through Sunday service and a robust lifespan religious education program.
I am packing some pictures of MVU members busy in the work of social justice. That was one of the top 3 functions that was noted as important to the congregation. We have developed teams committed to immigration and public education, and we imagine deepening those commitments and learning from our partnership. We want our minister to support us in moving this forward.
My religious action is justice work, compelled by a sense of compassion for those suffering or in need.
The promise of community, inspiration, growth, and the ability to have a larger impact through the congregation excites me.
I am packing this soft blanket because it is a reminder of how special we feel when we are cared for by the pastoral care team. It's like being surrounded by a warm blanket. You said the pastoral care is a priority for this congregation. It is a function where you want the minister to show leadership, but you also recognize that it is a shared function with the pastoral care team.
We're a community that has a dual focus of caring for our members and friends, and at the same time looking beyond our walls to engage with a wider community with our social justice initiatives.
We want to be creating a sacred community by developing meaningful relationships and providing care to one another.
I am packing a picture of a butterfly because it reminds me of dramatic changes in nature, from a caterpillar to a chrysalis to a butterfly. It's a reminder of how amazing change, like getting a new minister, can be. When we ask you about change, you said, oh, look at the changes we've already been through. Different locations and buildings, going from in-person to Zoom, our collaboration with Baja 4. Then for future changes, you said, have a plan and share it with us. Let us have input, and then support us while we grapple with the issues and emotions related to a big change. As the ministerial search team goes forward, we are doing just that. We have asked for your input, and we are sharing plans related to our next big change. a new minister.
We have a bright future as a community that can embrace change and grow in different realms.
This congregation is in a unique position. While it has a rich history, it's really set for rebirth into something new and exciting.
We are going to need lots and lots of Kleenex. I am also bringing that. You told us what a great role model and leader Reverend Samantha has been and how you hate to see her go, even when you understand that she is an interim minister. You asked us for a process to grieve the loss of this special person. You said, we know this is important so that we can get ready to welcome our new minister. And as one of you put it, a new minister, a new prism, a new way of seeing things.
I can see how much Reverend Sam loves the congregation. And I want to feel really loved by the new minister, seen, valued, and comforted.
I want a minister to know me. I want to be led by someone who is emotionally available.
We need to give the new minister an opportunity to grow and blossom.
There are some things that we do not have to bring because you said that you are looking for a new minister to provide them. The first is being a spiritual leader, providing inspiration through sermons and programs and leading the way with UU values. You want the minister to be the heart of the congregation and to lead and act as a role model, including when working with others like the Baja 4, the board, and the MVUU staff and the wider community.
We also ask you what we as a congregation bring to this union. You said, we have a lot to offer the new minister. For example, you said, the new minister will work with our leadership team. And this is a team in which we have a high level of trust. You said, we are a congregation that cares about each other. You told us that to the story of who we currently are, we can add our willingness to grow into much more, as in a new building with new programming and continued excitement over potential growth and diversity. You said, the minister at Mountain Vista is appreciated and valued by this congregation in our words and our actions. On this trip, we are offering ourselves, our actions, our hearts to our new minister. So I am packing my heart for the journey.
Be lambs unto yourselves, be your own confidence.
I really had no idea what I was getting myself into here, but it has been so far, one of the most rewarding experiences of my life, my church life. I have done a whole lot of things in 22 years as a Unitarian. I've been on committees, I've been a teacher, I've done all sorts of things. I've sang, I've danced, I've been in plays. And when I had the opportunity, quite accidentally here at MVUU, to be part of the second incarnation of the project management team, which helped us find our building, get the financing, oversee the renovations, see what we transformed this furniture store into. I couldn't believe it. I thought, this is the best thing I'll ever do as a Unitarian for the congregation I belong to. If you will, I felt like it was going to be sort of my Unitarian legacy, that I could walk in that building every time and go, I helped this happen. And then the Ministerial Search Committee came up, and I was honored to be chosen with the rest of my cohorts by the congregation to help search for a new minister. And I remember a warning from our former board president. She said, "Oh, it's a lot of work. It's really a lot of work. Boy, is it a lot of work. You need to think twice." And I thought twice, and I said, absolutely, I want to be part of this. And as we have gone through the last several months, learning and growing and meeting surprise deadlines together, I can't wait to see what's next. At one point, when it was feeling a little heavy and my family was asking me, "Wow, are you sure you want to go through with this?" I'm like, I always thought I'd done the most important thing I could ever do for my church, but no, this is it. This is the single most important thing I will ever do for my Unitarian Universalist congregation. And I'm excited, and it makes me very happy.
Well, when I began this journey, and a journey it is, as we search for our next spiritual leader here at MVUU, I thought this would be very much like a simple recruitment at my employer where I work in human resources. Boy, was I wrong. In fact, we were even told this is not really like a human resources, and not to really think of it that way. And I totally agree with that. This is a much more extensive process and requires much more critical thinking. The words that come to me are that this is a huge exercise in trust, faith, and patience. These three words come to my mind when I think about this process and what I have learned from it thus far. I will now list for you some of those things I've learned during the process. Trust, faith, and patience in the process itself, which, let me tell you, can feel daunting at times. You may or may not know that we have a manual that has over 100 pages in it that we have to refer to. And let me tell you, that in itself can be daunting. But learning to take it a small chunk at a time and trust that the process works, have faith that we will accomplish our goal, and have patience as we move through each area of the requirements placed on us and the committee. It's an exercise in trust, faith, and patience with my fellow committee members, 5 other people who have busy lives and yet who care so deeply about this congregation and doing the right thing by everyone. And I've learned that it's not just a deep sense of appreciation for being chosen to serve on this really important committee, but a deep sense of responsibility to all who attend MVUU and all who we hope to attend and join us in the future. I have a big sense of dedication and a sense of pride in who we are as a congregation. I learned that despite thinking this would be just like any other recruitment at work, it is not. It's a combination of selling ourselves and our congregation, and yet being totally open with who we are as a congregation, with all our warts and all of our good qualities. I've learned that this process is so much more for a candidate than just applying for a job, and so much more for us than just interviewing a few people and making a quick decision about who might fit into that role that is our new spiritual leader. And finally, I've learned this is an act of love for our congregation and all that we do and who we are. As I continue on this journey, I'm sure there will be more lessons for me and my fellow committee members, and I see it as life-changing.
For me, the word that comes up is shared ministry. And I see shared ministry throughout the whole process. And it comes in at multiple levels, sometimes big, sometimes small. It's sometimes hard. And it asks that we pay attention to others, and it works. At the individual level, working together with the search team, I've learned again what a sharp shard of that mirror I can be. Shared ministry asked me to acknowledge this, apologize, and pay more attention. At the national level, UUA gave us a procedure for selecting your ministerial search team. The board reached out in person to ask all of you who you trust to do this work. Shared ministry says that if it's a big deal, you need to pay attention to everyone. UUA also provided training, a startup coach, a transitions program manager, a beyond categorical thinking facilitator, and that 100-page manual. They paid attention to us, as has Reverend Sam, giving us the belief that we can do this job good enough. Their training has kept us on track, paying attention to the dreams and concerns of the entire congregation. Then it made sure we are paying attention to communicating our findings to you. I witnessed shared ministry in the Board of Trustees after their first process produced a proposed contract shaping the relationship of MVUU and the future minister. The board was asked to consider an alternative process and reconsider the initial contract. In a brave space, they did so. Shared ministry was open to change and pays attention to additional perspectives. Personally, shared ministry created a space where I could fall down and be helped up. The day after Thanksgiving, I realized I'd overlooked a questionnaire on the new minister search website. I opened it up. It had 54 questions, requiring 18 pages to answer, and was due in 3 days. And Reverend Sam was on vacation. I cried for help, and help came from the team and the 3 most recent board presidents. We got it to our transitions program manager, Christine Purcell, on time. And Christine responded. This record is clear and well written. Your work reflects your love and pride in your congregation. Self-awareness and candor are so attractive to potential applicants, much more so than a completely rosy picture. You have helped potential applicants imagine how it would be to be in ministry partnership with MVUU and to identify what is fully formed and working well already and some areas where their skills or creative partnership might bring about new possibilities. I can easily imagine the qualities of an applicant who would be a good match with MVUU. And that is exactly what I hope to feel when I finish reviewing a congregational record. Shared ministry worked, indeed.
An open letter from our MVUU congregation to our future settled minister. Look at us in these images. Here we are. See us, feel us. We don't know who you are and what you're like. We don't know what your personality is like, what your passions and dreams are, what you struggle with and have doubts about. We don't know. But we want you to know that we eagerly await you, the mystery of who you are and what our relationship will be like. Every congregation would like to have a minister who is highly competent in all the ministerial skills: preaching, pastoral skills, administration, youth work, inspiring, etc., etc., etc. But this is a very tall order. More realistic is fulfilling the hope of finding a great fit for our needs and priorities. We look to our future with our own hopes, dreams, and concerns here in our enchanting Sonoran Desert. We want you to join us. We assume you're answering a calling, whoever you are, wherever you are. We want to mutually support and challenge each other. We invite you into the space between who we are and who we want to be. We recognize that neither of us will live our covenants perfectly. When we fail, we will try to forgive ourselves and each other and begin again in the spirit of trust, compassion, and inquiry. We promise to provide an atmosphere for you to think critically and creatively about all issues in a free pulpit. So to you, our future settled minister, and on behalf of our entire congregation, I ask you to accept these gifts of images, words, and music, so you may begin to appreciate who we are. Until we meet you, be well.
As we extinguish our chalice today, may we go forth in the spirit of love, cooperation, and shared ministry. Go in peace.